How did MySpace lose its social networking crown? RSR and social networks are definitely the answer. In less than 3 years from its inception, MySpace had transformed from a scrappy startup to a behemoth of the internet. Its open platform, free access, and customizable profiles fueled its magnetic draw. Young users flocked in droves, attracted by the ability to share music preferences, photos, and thoughts in a vibrant, personalized online space. MySpace wasn't just a website, it was a digital revolution, reshaping how we connected and communicated. By 2006, MySpace was the most visited website in the United States, a cultural phenomenon in its own right. The platform was not only a social network, but also a springboard for emerging technologies and companies. YouTube, Zynga, and Photobucket all found early exposure through MySpace, riding the wave of its unprecedented reach. However, this meteoric rise bore the seeds of its looming downfall. As the user numbers swelled, so did the challenges. The decisions made during these peak years, both strategic and technical, would soon define the fate of this once towering giant was happening. But beneath the surface of this explosive growth, cracks were starting to form. Even as MySpace expanded into global markets and solidified its position as the #1 website in the United States, the foundation it was built upon was shifting. The acquisition by News Corporation, while initially seen as a wise investment, subtly shifted the focus from community-driven growth to aggressive monetization strategies. MySpace's allure was rooted in its freedom. Users could personalize their pages, fostering a vibrant, unique online community. However, with the Google deal in place, the pressure to generate revenue intensified. The user experience began to suffer as the site became cluttered with ads, disrupting the personal touch MySpace was known for. Simultaneously, Facebook was quietly watching, learning, and refining its approach. By 2008, although MySpace achieved 115 million monthly visitors, its rival had already matched those numbers and was gaining ground in global users. This subtle but significant shift in dynamics set the stage for a battle war. MySpace was ill-prepared for. As Facebook's clean, cohesive design and user-friendly interface started attracting a more diverse audience, MySpace found itself at a crossroads, facing decisions that would either solidify its dominance or lead to its unraveling. With MySpace's rapid rise garnering attention from all corners, it wasn't long before the allure of becoming a digital titan attracted powerful suitors. In July 2005, News Corporation, in one of its strategic internet forays, acquired MySpace for a staggering $580 million. At the time, MySpace boasted 16 million monthly users, a number that seemed almost dwarfed by the site's explosive growth in the months to follow. News Corp's vision was clear: harness the site's burgeoning user base and tap into the lucrative world of internet advertising. Beating out Viacom with a higher bid, News Corp saw MySpace not just as a social networking phenom, but a gateway to internet dominance, funneling traffic across its vast media empire. The acquisition, initially deemed a masterstroke, quickly bore fruit. Within a year, MySpace had not only tripled in value, but also usurped Yahoo to become the most visited website in the US. The momentum appeared unstoppable. By 2007, MySpace was signing up 320,000 new users daily. Yet, as MySpace pressed forward in its quest for global expansion and strategic partnerships, a new contender quietly emerged, poised to challenge everything. But as MySpace continued its rapid ascent, signing up hundreds of thousands of new users each day, the winds of change began to stir. By 2008, Facebook, once overshadowed, was quietly reshaping the social media landscape. Known for its clean, streamlined interface and real-name policy, Facebook's appeal grew, drawing users tired of MySpace's cluttered, customizable profiles and anonymous interactions. In the same year, both platforms boasted around 115 million monthly visitors. However, Facebook had begun to outpace MySpace, especially in global user numbers. This shift was fueled by Facebook's focus on user experience and its innovative approach to connecting people, making it more than just a social network. It became a social utility. MySpace, at its pinnacle under News Corporation's ownership, was generating $800 million in revenue. But as revenue swelled, its grip on users began to slip. By May 2009, Facebook had surpassed MySpace in unique U.S. visitors, marking a crucial turning point. MySpace's attempts at redesign and rebranding would soon follow, but the social media giant was losing its foothold. What had once been a vibrant hub for digital interaction was now facing an identity crisis, a crisis that would only deepen as internal challenges emerged. RSR, and MySpace is the leading social network. But within the corridors of MySpace's sprawling empire, not all was well. In 2005, a pivotal moment slipped through their fingers. MySpace's co-founder, Chris DeWolf, sat down with a young Mark Zuckerberg. The proposition was audacious. A young Facebook, then a fledgling network, was on the table for $75 million. DeWolf, backed by MySpace's meteoric rise, declined the offer. He couldn't foresee the tidal wave that Facebook would become. At the time, MySpace was riding high, bolstered by News Corporation's $580 million investment and a user base growing at breakneck speed. But with every design iteration and every new feature, MySpace's leadership disregarded the subtle shifts in social media dynamics. Facebook, with its clean interface and focus on the user experience, slowly began winning hearts and minds, one campus at a time. MySpace, meanwhile, was trapped in the variances of its own success, struggling to integrate meaningful innovations that resonated with its community. The rejection of Facebook's offer wasn't merely a financial misstep. It signaled a deeper misjudgment of the digital landscape. As the sun set on another day at MySpace headquarters, the first shadows of doubt began to creep in. Would MySpace find a way to regain its lost ground, or was the social media revolution passing it by? The allure of MySpace was undeniable, a digital canvas where users painted their identities with vivid strokes of individuality. Pages brimmed with customized layouts, each user's profile as unique as a fingerprint. However, this freedom came with a cost. With no cohesive design language, MySpace became a chaotic quilt of clashing backgrounds, garish fonts, and looping music tracks. What began as a celebration of personal expression soon spiraled into a cacophony of clutter. Meanwhile, on the horizon, another platform was quietly emerging. Facebook, with its clean, uniform design, offered a stark contrast to the bedlam of MySpace. Where MySpace allowed users to become the architects of their own digital worlds, Facebook's structured environment provided simplicity and ease of use. This minimalist approach began to resonate with users who craved a more seamless social experience. As Facebook surged forward, MySpace found itself ensnared in its own web. The very customization that had driven its initial success now threatened to drown it in a sea of unpredictability. The platform began to feel dated in the face of Facebook's streamlined efficiency. The cracks in MySpace's foundation were becoming impossible to ignore. But the story of MySpace's decline was far from over. Another storm was brewing, one not of design, but of strategy, and it would challenge everything MySpace believed about its place in the digital landscape. In May 2009, as the digital world watched and whispered, Facebook edged past MySpace in U.S. visitors, a subtle shift that marked the beginning of MySpace's decline. This was more than a competition between websites. It was a clash of paradigms. MySpace had been the titan, the groundbreaking social landscape where music, culture, and personal expression intertwined. But Facebook, with its clean interface and real-name policy, offered something MySpace couldn't quite grasp: a streamlined personal network focused on genuine connections. Despite several redesigns, MySpace's numbers dwindled steadily. The platform found itself mired in its own complexities, weighed down by ad clutter and cumbersome customization that once seemed revolutionary. Users began migrating to the simplicity and connectivity promised by Facebook. MySpace, once the preferred canvas for creativity and personal flair, was now struggling to retain its kingdom. By June 2009, the writing was on the wall. The social media landscape was transforming, and MySpace's sprawling empire was shrinking. Yet the changes were not merely about aesthetics or features. They hinted at a deeper, strategic misstep. What MySpace failed to anticipate was not just a shift in user preferences, but a fundamental change in how people wanted to connect. Little did they know, their next moves would be overshadowed by their past decisions, leading to an irreversible trajectory. But by 2011, the landscape for MySpace had changed drastically. With dwindling user numbers and declining relevance, the once mighty platform faced a stark reality. In June of that year, Specific Media Group, along with musician and actor Justin Timberlake, acquired MySpace for a mere $35 million. This was a dramatic decrease from its 2005 peak valuation, an emblem of the shifting sands in the digital domain. The acquisition brought some media buzz, yet failed to reignite MySpace's former spark. By 2016, the platform changed hands again, this time to Time Inc. for $87 million. Each change of ownership seemed more like an effort to salvage MySpace's lingering potential than to celebrate a powerful digital empire. A further shift came in January 2018, when Meredith Corporation acquired Time Inc., including MySpace. But by November 2019, MySpace was spun off to Viant Technology LLC, reflecting a continued downward spiral. The rapid succession of sales mirrored MySpace's diminishing value in a world that had moved on to faster, more dynamic platforms. As MySpace's ownership baton passed from hand to hand, a question lingered. Could there ever be a return to its former glory, or was it destined to remain a relic of a bygone digital era?